Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, watching the stars shift patterns on the main screen. They had crossed into forbidden space 30 minutes ago. The border between human territory and the Caliph Empire lay far behind them now. Every second took them deeper into enemy territory where no human ship had traveled for 50 years. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. His crew worked at their stations with focused concentration. They all knew the risks of this mission. The Caliph Empire controlled 12 star systems and had made it clear that humans were not welcome. The last time human ships entered their space, most never returned home. Morrison checked the tactical display again. The distress signal they were following had gone silent 6 days ago. It came from the colony ship New Hope, carrying 3,000 civilians to establish a new settlement beyond the frontier. The ship had vanished without explanation near the neutral zone. Search and rescue teams found nothing but empty space where the colony ship should have been. Commander Lisa Grant walked up beside him. She had served as his second-in-command for 3 years. Her short brown hair and steady green eyes reflected the same determination that drove Morrison forward. "Captain, we're picking up more debris," she reported. "Pete says the metal fragments match the New Hope's hull composition." Morrison nodded grimly. Pete Jackson ran the engineering department, with skill that kept the Defiance operational through countless deep space missions. If Pete said the debris came from the missing colony ship, Morrison believed him. The evidence painted a dark picture. The New Hope had been attacked and either destroyed or captured somewhere in this region of space. "Any signs of survivors?" Morrison asked. "Unclear, sir. The debris field is scattered across 3 different systems. Either the ship broke apart during an attack, or someone moved the pieces to confuse search teams." Morrison studied the star chart displaying their current position. They were 40 light years inside Caliph territory, farther than any human vessel had penetrated since the border wars ended. His ship carried the most advanced technology humanity had developed, but he commanded only 800 crew members against an entire empire. The mission held personal meaning for Morrison. His younger brother Alex had been among the colonists aboard the New Hope. Alex worked as a medical researcher, hoping to study alien plant life on the New World. He had always been the peaceful one in their family, while Jake chose the military path. Now Alex was missing, possibly dead or captured by hostile aliens. "Sir, we're detecting automated sensor networks," reported Amy Roberts from the communication station. She was young but skilled at monitoring alien transmissions. "They're scanning us but haven't sent any active challenges yet." Morrison walked over to her station. "Can they see through our stealth systems?" "Not completely, but they know something is here. Our stealth tech hides our exact location and ship type, but it can't make us invisible to their best sensors." The Defiance used advanced stealth technology salvaged from alien wrecks and improved by human engineers. It could fool most detection systems, but the Caliph had decades to upgrade their border defenses since the last human incursion. Morrison had expected this development. "Maintain silent running protocols," he ordered. "No active scans or communications unless absolutely necessary." The crew continued their work in hushed tones. Morrison returned to his command chair and activated his personal terminal. Intelligence files on the Caliph Empire filled the screen. The aliens resembled tall reptiles with gray scales and large black eyes. They were known for advanced technology and ruthless efficiency in warfare. During the border conflicts, they had demonstrated superior weapons and shields that overwhelmed human forces through sheer technological advantage. What concerned Morrison most was their complete isolation since the war ended. The Caliph had cut all diplomatic contact and refused to acknowledge human attempts at communication. They seemed content to remain behind their borders, but their response to any intrusion was swift and deadly. Several merchant ships that accidentally crossed the boundary had simply vanished. "Captain, Chief Weapons Officer Dan Cooper called from his station. "I'm reading energy signatures from the next system. Looks like a patrol group, maybe 6 ships." Morrison joined Cooper at the weapons console. Dan was a veteran of the border wars, one of the few crew members who had actually fought Caliph forces before. His experience made him invaluable for this mission. "What's your assessment?" Morrison asked. "Standard patrol formation, probably light cruisers. They're following a predictable search pattern. If we time it right, we can slip past them without detection." Morrison studied the tactical display. The Caliph patrol was methodically scanning the system, but their pattern left gaps that a skilled pilot could exploit. The Defiance had the speed and maneuverability to avoid contact if they moved carefully. "Plot a course around their search." "Grid," Morrison ordered. "Take us through the asteroid field on the system's edge." The helmsman acknowledged the order and began adjusting their trajectory. Morrison felt the slight vibration as the ship's engines engaged at minimal power. Every system on the Defiance was designed for stealth operations, from their nearly silent engines to their heat-dampening hull-coating dot as they moved through the asteroid field. Morrison reflected on the decisions that brought them here. Starfleet Command had initially refused permission for this rescue mission. The risk of triggering another war with the Caliph Empire seemed too great to justify searching for one missing colony ship. But Morrison had convinced them that abandoning 3,000 human civilians without even attempting rescue would be morally unacceptable. The Defiance was chosen for this mission because of her unique capabilities. She was the newest ship in the human fleet, equipped with experimental technology that made her faster and more powerful than anything built before. Her crew was handpicked from the best officers in Starfleet, trained specifically for deep space operations behind enemy lines. "We're clear of the patrol," reported the helmsman. "Setting course for the next system on our search grid." Morrison nodded. They had successfully avoided their first encounter with Caliph forces, but many more challenges lay ahead. The debris trail from the New Hope led deeper into enemy territory, toward the heart of the Caliph Empire, where their most powerful fleets were stationed. "Lisa." Grant approached him again with a new report. "Sir, I've been analyzing the debris patterns with Pete's help. The evidence suggests the New Hope didn't break apart from weapon damage. The metal shows signs of precision cutting, like it was deliberately taken apart." "Salvage operation?" Morrison asked. "More likely they were captured. The Caliph might have disabled the ship and then transported the colonists somewhere else. The scattered debris could be a cover story to make it look like the ship was destroyed." Morrison felt a surge of hope mixed with concern. If the colonists were still alive, there was a chance to rescue them. But capturing 3,000 humans would require a major Caliph operation, which meant they were probably being held at a heavily defended facility. "Keep analyzing the debris trail," Morrison ordered. "I want to know where they took our people." The bridge fell quiet again as the crew focused on their tasks. Outside the viewports, alien stars shone with cold light. The Defiance continued deeper into Caliph space, carrying the hopes of 3,000 missing colonists and the determination of 800 crew members who refused to abandon them. Morrison gripped the arms of his command chair. They were committed now. There could be no turning back until they found the New Hope's passengers or confirmed their fate. The mission would test every skill they possessed and push human technology to its limits against a superior enemy. But Jake Morrison had not risen to command the fleet's most advanced ship by accepting defeat. His crew shared that same stubborn refusal to quit when lives were at stake. They would find the missing colonists, no matter what dangers waited in the darkness ahead. Admiral Zeth Korvek stood before the massive, holographic display in the command center of Caliph Prime. The three-dimensional map showed his empire's 12 star systems in glowing detail. Red warning lights pulsed at the outer border were automated. Sensors had detected the human intrusion. Each pulse reminded him that the unthinkable had happened. A human warship had crossed into Calith space. Korvac's gray scales rippled with tension as he studied the sensor reports. His large black eyes focused on the data streams flowing across multiple screens. The human vessel had penetrated 40 light-years past the border and showed no signs of stopping. For 50 years, no human ship had dared enter Calith territory. Now one had appeared without warning, moving with purpose deeper into the Empire. "Admiral, we have confirmation from 3 separate sensor networks," reported Commander Voss Kelron, his chief intelligence officer. "The vessel is definitely human in origin. Energy signatures match their military specifications from our previous encounters." Korvac turned to face his staff officers. The command center buzzed with activity as dozens of Calith personnel analyzed the threat. Communications arrays crackled with encrypted messages flowing between military installations across the Empire. Within minutes of the first detection, every Calith fleet commander had been notified of the human presence. "What do we know about their current capabilities?" Korvac asked. "That is our primary concern, Admiral. Our intelligence on human military development is 50 years old. This ship appears to be using technology that should not exist according to our previous assessments." Korvac had feared this day would come eventually. The peace between their species had been maintained through mutual separation, not trust. Both sides had used the decades of isolation to develop new weapons and defenses. Now they would discover what humanity had accomplished during those years of silence. The Admiral accessed his personal files on human military history. He had studied every battle report from the border wars, seeking to understand how humans fought. What he found disturbed him then and worried him now. Humans possessed a tactical unpredictability that Calith strategists struggled to counter. They adapted to changing conditions faster than any species the Calith had encountered. "Sir, Admiral." "Korvac," came an urgent voice from the communication station. "Fleet Command reports unusual energy readings from the human vessel. Their stealth technology appears far more advanced than our previous intelligence suggested." Korvac walked to the communications console. The operator, a young female named Tess Viram, looked nervous as she handed him the detailed sensor analysis. The human ship was using energy signatures that didn't match any known technology in Calith databases. "How is this possible?" Korvac asked his science advisors. "Unknown, Admiral. Either humans have made remarkable advances in stealth technology, or they have acquired alien technology from another source. The energy patterns suggest a hybrid design combining multiple technological approaches." Korvac felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. As Supreme Commander of the Fifth Fleet, he was responsible for defending the Empire's core systems. The human ship's advanced capabilities meant it could potentially reach Calith Prime itself before his forces could intercept it. "Begin immediate fleet mobilization," Korvac ordered. "I want 3 full battle groups converging on the humans. Projected course. Deploy screening forces at all major system approaches. If this is the advance scout for a larger invasion force, we must be prepared." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as staff officers coordinated the largest military mobilization in Calith history. Over 200 warships began moving toward intercept positions. Massive battle cruisers powered up their engines, while fighter squadrons launched from carrier bases throughout the Empire. Commander Kelron approached with additional intelligence reports. "Admiral, our long-range scanners detect no other human vessels following this one. It appears to be operating alone." "Impossible," Korvac replied immediately. "Humans would never send a single ship into hostile territory without support. There must be others using even more advanced stealth systems. Our best sensors show nothing, sir. Either the human fleet is using stealth technology beyond our ability to detect, or this truly is a lone vessel." Korvac considered both possibilities. If humans had developed undetectable stealth technology, The Caliph Empire faced a threat unlike anything in their history. Enemy ships could move freely through Caliph space without warning. But if this really was a single ship, why would humans risk such a valuable asset on a suicide mission? The Admiral accessed historical files on human psychology and military doctrine. His predecessor, Admiral Vec Norvek, had faced human forces during the border wars. Norvek's reports described humans as the most dangerous opponents the Caliph had ever fought. They showed no fear of death and would sacrifice everything to protect their civilians. "Sir, we have communication intercepts from the human vessel," reported Tess Virum. "They appear to be searching for something. References to a missing colony ship and rescue operations." Korvac studied the intercepted messages. The human ship was not conducting a reconnaissance mission or preparing an invasion. They were looking for their missing people. This explained why a single vessel would risk entering Caliph space, but it also created new complications. "Do we have any record of human civilian vessels in our territory?" Korvac asked. "Checking historical databases now, Admiral," Kelrin responded. After several minutes, he returned with concerning information. "Sir, 6 months ago our border patrols detected and intercepted a large human civilian vessel near the neutral zone. The ship was captured and its passengers transferred to Mortis Station for interrogation and study." Korvac's blood turned cold. Mortis Station was the Empire's most secretive research facility, built into an asteroid field in the Zarian system. The facility conducted biological studies on alien species to understand their capabilities and weaknesses. If humans had discovered what happened to their civilians, this rescue mission could trigger the war both sides had avoided for 50 years. "How many humans are being held at Mortis Station?" Korvac demanded. "Approximately 3,000, sir. Men, women, and children from the colony ship New Hope." The Admiral realized the true scope of the crisis. The human warship was not just crossing Caliph territory randomly. It was following the trail of evidence from their captured colony ship. Sooner or later, that trail would lead them to Mortis Station and the discovery of what the Caliph had done to their people. Korvac opened a secure communication channel to the research facility. Dr. Hex Morvain, the chief scientist at Mortis Station, appeared on the screen. The elderly Caliph looked disturbed by the urgent contact. "Doctor, what is the status of the human specimens at your facility?" Korvac asked. "They remain in containment, Admiral. Our studies have revealed fascinating insights into human physiology and psychology. These creatures possess remarkable adaptability and resilience. We have learned much about what makes them effective warriors. Doctor, a human warship is currently approaching your sector. They appear to be searching for their missing civilians." "Doctor." Morvain's expression shifted to concern. "Admiral, if humans discover what we have learned about their species, they will consider it an act of war. Our research files contain detailed analysis of human combat effectiveness and psychological profiles. This information could be seen as preparation for military action against them." Korvac understood the implications. The research at Mortis Station had been conducted to better understand potential human threats, but humans would view it as evidence that the Caliph were planning to attack their people. The situation was spiraling toward war, regardless of anyone's intentions. "Increase security at Mortis Station immediately," Korvac ordered. "Deploy additional patrol squadrons to the Zarian system. If the human ship reaches the facility, we must be prepared for anything." As Korvac ended the communication, he reflected on the irony of their situation. The Caliph Empire had spent 50 years avoiding war with humanity, yet their own actions had created the crisis they sought to prevent. The capture of the colony ship had seemed like a minor border incident. Now it threatened to destroy the peace between two galactic powers. The Admiral returned to studying the tactical displays. His fleets were moving into position, but the human ship continued its relentless advance toward the heart of the Empire. Every hour brought them closer to discovering the truth about their missing people. When that moment came, Korvac knew that words would no longer be enough to prevent the conflict. Both sides feared. Captain Jake Morrison studied the tactical display as the Defiance approached the gas giant. Helios 7. 3 Caliph destroyer squadrons had taken positions around the massive planet, clearly waiting for his ship to arrive. Their formation suggested they knew exactly where he was heading. The element of surprise was gone. 18 enemy vessels confirmed, reported Dan Cooper from his weapons station. They're positioned to block all escape routes from the system. Morrison nodded grimly. His ship had been detected despite their advanced stealth systems. The Caliph had tracked their movement through the debris field and predicted their destination. Now they faced a direct confrontation with overwhelming enemy forces. "Captain," Amy Roberts called from communications. "I'm detecting massive fleet movements throughout Caliph space. It looks like they're mobilizing everything they have." "How many ships?" Morrison asked. "Over 200 confirmed contacts, sir. Multiple battle groups converging on our position from different directions." Morrison felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. His single ship had triggered the largest military response in Caliph history. Every decision he made now could determine whether this rescue mission started a war between two galactic powers. "Commander," Lisa Grant approached his command chair. "Sir, we could still withdraw. Jump to hyperspace before their reinforcements arrive." Morrison considered the option. Retreat would save his ship and crew, but it would also abandon 3,000 human civilians to whatever fate awaited them. In Caliph custody, his brother Alex was somewhere out there, possibly being held prisoner or worse. Morrison could not leave without trying to find him. No retreat, Morrison decided. "We came here to find our people. That mission hasn't changed." Morrison activated the ship's communication array. If the Caliph wanted a confrontation, he would give them a chance to avoid bloodshed first. Diplomacy might succeed where stealth had failed. "Open a channel on all frequencies," Morrison ordered. Amy Roberts worked at her station for several moments before nodding. "Channel open, Captain." Morrison stood and faced the main screen. His voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded deep space missions for over a decade. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiance. We are conducting a search and rescue operation for missing human civilians. We request safe passage through your territory and information about any human vessels you may have." Encountered. The response came quickly. A Caliph officer appeared on the main screen, his gray scales reflecting the harsh lighting of his ship's bridge. Large black eyes stared at Morrison with a mixture of curiosity and hostility. When he spoke, the universal translator converted his words into English. "I am Captain Vex Norath of the Caliph Imperial Navy. You have violated our territorial boundaries and ignored our warnings. Surrender your vessel immediately or face the consequences." Morrison stepped closer to the screen. "Captain Norath, we are not here as invaders. A human colony ship called the New Hope disappeared near your borders 6 months ago. We have followed a debris trail into your space. We only want to find our missing people and bring them home safely." Norath's expression shifted slightly. Morrison detected uncertainty in the alien captain's manner. The Caliph officer appeared to be consulting with someone off-screen before responding. "Human Morrison, your people entered Caliph space without permission. They were dealt with according to our laws. You will surrender now or share their fate." Morrison felt his heart rate increase. Norath's words confirmed that the Caliph had captured the colony ship and its passengers. The colonists were alive somewhere in enemy territory. The rescue mission had a chance of success if Morrison could locate them. "Where are they being held?" Morrison demanded. "What have you done with 3,000 innocent civilians?" "That information is classified," Norath replied coldly. You have 60 seconds to power down your weapons and prepare for boarding. This is your final warning." Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew watched him with expressions of determination and trust. They had followed him this far into enemy territory because they believed in the mission. Now they waited for his decision on whether to fight or surrender. "Captain," Dan Cooper said quietly, "our weapons are ready. We can engage on your command." Morrison made his choice. Surrender would likely mean death or imprisonment for his entire crew, with no guarantee that the colonists would be rescued. Fighting gave them a chance to complete the mission, even against impossible odds. "I'm sorry, Captain North," Morrison said into the communication channel. "I cannot surrender while our people remain in your custody. If you want my ship, you'll have to take it." Morrison cut the communication link and turned to his crew. "All hands, battle stations, prepare for combat." Alarm klaxons sounded throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their emergency positions. The bridge lights dimmed to combat configuration while tactical displays showed the approaching Caliph forces. 18 enemy ships closing fast, Dan Cooper reported. Their lead destroyers will be in weapons range in 2 minutes. Morrison settled into his command chair and activated the ship's advanced combat systems. The Defiance had been designed specifically for situations like this, where human ships faced superior numbers with inferior technology. Her secret was the adaptive artificial intelligence system that his crew had nicknamed Oracle. "Oracle online," reported the ship's computer in a calm female voice, analyzing enemy tactical patterns and weapon signatures. The Caliph destroyers opened fire first, sending streams of plasma bolts toward the Defiance. Morrison felt the ship shudder as enemy weapons struck their shields. The advanced defensive systems held, but warning lights indicated they were taking damage. "Return fire," Morrison ordered. Dan Cooper activated the ship's experimental plasma cannon array. The weapons had been developed from salvaged alien technology and improved by human engineers. Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Defiance, striking the nearest Caliph destroyer. The enemy ship's shields flared and collapsed under the assault. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as the human weapons tore through armor, plating like paper. Within seconds, the destroyer broke apart in a ball of expanding plasma. "Direct hit," Cooper reported with satisfaction. "Their shields couldn't handle our plasma output." "Oracle has analyzed enemy defensive capabilities," the ship's AI announced. "Caliph shield technology is vulnerable to rotating frequency modulation, adjusting weapons accordingly." Morrison watched in amazement as his ship's artificial intelligence adapted to the enemy's weaknesses in real time. The Oracle system learned from each exchange of fire, constantly improving its targeting and tactical recommendations. The battle became a deadly dance as the Defiance maneuvered through the asteroid field surrounding Helios 7. Caliph destroyers pursued the human ship, but their formations began to break down as Oracle predicted their movements and positioned the Defiance for optimal firing solutions. "Multiple enemy vessels destroyed," Cooper announced as another Caliph ship exploded under the Defiance's concentrated fire. Oracle is anticipating their tactical responses faster than they can execute them. Morrison realized his ship was winning an impossible battle. The Caliph had superior numbers, but human technology and artificial intelligence gave the Defiance decisive advantages. The enemy captains were fighting according to established doctrine, while Oracle adapted to counter every move they made. "Captain," North's voice crackled over the communication system. "Human ship, your weapons are more advanced than our intelligence indicated. We request immediate ceasefire to avoid further casualties." Morrison could see the tactical display showing 8 destroyed Caliph vessels and several more heavily damaged. His single ship had devastated an entire enemy squadron in less than 7 minutes of combat. The demonstration of human military capabilities would send shockwaves throughout the Caliph Empire. "Ceasefire acknowledged," Morrison replied. "Captain." Norith, I want you to deliver a message to your superiors. We came here for our people, not to start a war. But we will fight anyone who stands between us and our missing civilians. Morrison cut the communication link and turned to his crew. They had won their first battle, but the real test lay ahead. The engagement had revealed human technological superiority, but it had also escalated the crisis beyond any hope of quiet resolution. Set course for the next system, Morrison ordered. We still have people to find. The Defiance moved away from the battle zone, leaving behind wreckage that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. News of the human victory would spread throughout Calith space within hours, forcing their leadership to reconsider everything they thought they knew about humanity's current capabilities. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the briefing room aboard the Defiance, studying holographic images of Mortis Station. The massive research facility was built into the largest asteroid in the Zarian system, protected by defensive platforms and patrolling warships. Intelligence gathered from captured Calith databanks revealed this was where the missing colonists were being held. The station has heavy shields and at least 40 weapon platforms, reported Commander Lisa Grant. Long-range sensors detect 3 destroyer squadrons on patrol around the asteroid field. Morrison examined the tactical data with his senior officers. Marine Captain Roy Phillips pointed to weak spots in the station's defenses. Sir, if we can disable their shield generators here and here, my Marines can breach the docking bays and establish entry points. How many prisoners are we looking at? Morrison asked. Intelligence suggests over 400 beings from multiple species, Amy Roberts answered. The humans from the New Hope are just the most recent arrivals. The Calith have been capturing ships for decades and using the crews for biological research. Morrison felt anger building in his chest. The Calith were not just holding his people prisoner. They were conducting experiments on hundreds of innocent beings from across the galaxy. This rescue mission had become something much larger than saving one colony ship. Sir, Chief Engineer Pete Jackson spoke up from the back of the room. The station's power grid is centralized. If we can overload their main reactor, it will disable both shields and weapons simultaneously. Give us maybe 20 minutes before their backup systems come online, Morrison nodded. That's our window. Roy, how long do you need to evacuate for? 100 prisoners? Marine Captain Phillips consulted his tactical pad. 15 minutes if everything goes perfectly, sir. But we'll need transport shuttles positioned at multiple docking ports. The prisoners are spread throughout the facility. Oracle has been analyzing the station's layout, the ship's AI announced. Optimal assault plan requires simultaneous strikes at 7 key locations. Success probability increases to 87% with coordinated attacks. Morrison looked around the room at his officers. They had come this far against impossible odds. Now they faced the most dangerous part of their mission. Attacking a heavily fortified research station deep in enemy territory would test every skill they possessed. We go in fast and hard, Morrison decided. Pete, I need you to disable their power grid. Roy, your Marines handle prisoner evacuation. Lisa, coordinate space combat against their patrol fleets. Everyone else supports the operation from their stations. The briefing ended and crew members hurried to their assignments. Morrison remained in the briefing room for a moment, studying the images of Mortis Station. Somewhere inside that asteroid fortress, his brother Alex was waiting to be rescued. The colonists had been held prisoner for 6 months, subjected to unknown experiments and treatment. 2 hours later, the Defiance approached the Zarian system at maximum stealth. The asteroid field provided cover from long-range sensors, but Morrison knew they would be detected once they got closer to the station. Surprise would last only minutes before Calith forces responded in full strength. Contact, Dan Cooper announced from his weapons station. 12 Calith destroyers on standard patrol routes. They haven't detected us yet. Morrison watched the tactical display showing enemy ship movements around Mortis Station. The patrol patterns were predictable, creating opportunities for his ship to strike without being surrounded immediately. Oracle, calculate firing solutions for maximum effectiveness, Morrison ordered. Optimal attack sequence identified, the AI responded. Recommend engaging patrol groups in sequence rather than simultaneously. This will prevent coordinated enemy response. Morrison took his position in the command chair. Around him, his crew, prepared for the most important battle of their careers. Success would free hundreds of prisoners and demonstrate that humanity would never abandon its people. Failure would likely mean death for everyone aboard the Defiance. All stations report ready, Captain, Lisa Grant announced. Begin the attack, Morrison ordered. The Defiance emerged from the asteroid field with all weapons firing. Plasma cannon beams lanced out toward the nearest Caliph patrol group. Enemy shields flared and collapsed under the human ship's devastating firepower. 2 destroyers exploded in rapid succession before their crews could react to the sudden assault. Marines launching, Roy Phillips reported over the communication system. Assault shuttles away. Morrison watched as small transport craft shot out from the Defiance's launch bays. Each shuttle carried 20 Marines equipped with advanced combat gear. Their mission was to breach Mortis Station's docking ports and fight their way to the prisoner-holding areas. Pete, what's the status? On their power grid? Morrison asked. Working on it, Captain, came the engineer's voice from deep within the ship. Their reactor design is more complex than expected. Give me 5 more minutes. The Defiance continued its deadly dance through the asteroid field, engaging Caliph patrols while avoiding their return fire. Oracle's tactical predictions proved accurate as enemy ships moved exactly where the AI expected them. Human weapons found their targets while Caliph plasma bolts struck empty space. First shuttle has breached the station, Phillips reported. Meeting heavy resistance but making progress toward the detention levels. Morrison divided his attention between the space battle and the ground assault. His Marines were fighting their way through heavily defended corridors while his ship held off reinforcing enemy vessels. Every second counted as more Caliph forces moved toward the battle zone. Captain, we have a problem, Amy Roberts called out urgently. Long range. Sensors detect a Caliph battle fleet approaching. At least 30 ships including heavy cruisers. Morrison felt his heart sink. Even with Oracle's advantages, the Defiance could not fight 30 enemy warships and complete the rescue mission. They needed more time to evacuate the prisoners. Pete, I need that power grid down now, Morrison demanded. Almost there, Captain. Their security systems are fighting me, but I think I can overload their main reactor. On the tactical display, Morrison watched his Marine shuttles dock with Mortis Station at multiple access points. Phillips and his teams were inside the facility, but they still needed to locate and evacuate 400 prisoners before the approaching Caliph fleet arrived. Got it, Pete announced triumphantly. Station power grid is overloading. Their shields and weapons are down. Mortis Station went dark as its protective systems failed. The massive asteroid fortress became vulnerable for the first time in decades. Morrison felt a surge of hope as his Marines pressed their advantage. Multiple prisoner groups located, Phillips reported. Sir, you need to see this. The Caliph have been conducting biological experiments on these people for months. Medical research, psychological testing, combat analysis. They have detailed files on every species they've captured. Morrison's anger flared at the confirmation of his worst fears. The Caliph had been using captured beings as test subjects, studying their weaknesses and capabilities. The research data would be valuable for military planning against those same species. Roy, find my brother. He was a medical researcher on the New Hope, and download any data you can about what they've been doing. Already on it, Captain. We found the medical staff in a separate facility. Your brother is alive but in poor condition. All the prisoners show signs of prolonged stress and medical experimentation. Morrison closed his eyes briefly, feeling relief. That Alex was still alive mixed with rage at what had been done to him. The Caliph would pay for their treatment of innocent civilians. "Captain, the approaching fleet will be here in 10 minutes, Lisa Grant warned. "We need to start withdrawal." "Procedures. Roy, status on evacuation?" "We've got about half the prisoners loaded onto shuttles. Need another 10 minutes to get everyone out." Morrison realized they were out of time. The Caliph reinforcements would arrive before the evacuation was complete. He would have to make an impossible choice between saving his ship and saving the prisoners. "All Marines, this is the captain. You have 8 minutes to complete evacuation. After that, we fight our way out with whoever we've got." The next 8 minutes felt like hours as Morrison watched his Marines race against time. Shuttle. After shuttle launched from Mortis Station, carrying rescued prisoners. Phillips and his team had found not just the human colonists, but beings from dozens of other species held captive by the Caliph. "Last shuttle away," Phillips announced. "We got 412 prisoners total, including your brother. Station databanks have been downloaded. All personnel clear of the facility." Morrison felt a surge of triumph as the final shuttle docked with the Defiance. They had successfully rescued everyone held at Mortis Station and gathered intelligence about Caliph research operations. But their victory came at a cost. The approaching enemy fleet was now close enough to engage. Caliph battle fleet entering. "Weapons range," Dan Cooper reported. 32 vessels confirmed. They're moving to surround us." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing overwhelming enemy forces converging on his position. The Defiance had accomplished the impossible by rescuing 400 prisoners from a heavily fortified enemy facility. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the damaged Defiance as 32 Caliph warships surrounded his vessel. The rescue operation had succeeded, but his ship was trapped deep in enemy territory with 400 rescued prisoners aboard. Emergency lights flickered throughout the bridge while damage reports came in from all sections. "Shields at 40%, reported Dan Cooper. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 7 and 12. We took heavy damage during the station assault." Morrison studied the tactical display showing the massive Caliph fleet in attack formation around his ship. Admiral Zeth Korvac's flagship, a massive battlecruiser, held position directly ahead. The alien admiral had every reason to destroy the Defiance after the humiliation Morrison had caused his forces. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Caliph flagship," Amy Roberts announced. Morrison straightened his uniform and faced the main screen. Admiral Korvac appeared, his gray scales reflecting the harsh lighting of his command bridge. The Caliph leader's large black eyes studied Morrison with a mixture of respect and wariness. "Captain Morrison," Korvac began in heavily accented English, "you have accomplished what we believed impossible. A single human ship has penetrated our strongest defenses and freed prisoners from our most secure facility." Morrison remained standing despite his exhaustion. "Admiral Korvac, we came here for our people. The rescue mission is complete. We request safe passage to return these prisoners to their homes." Korvac's expression shifted slightly. "Captain, your actions have created a crisis that threatens both our peoples. My government demands your surrender for violating our territory and attacking our installations. And if I refuse?" Morrison asked, "Then we will take your ship by force. You are outnumbered 32 to 1. Even with your advanced technology, you cannot escape our entire fleet." Morrison looked around his bridge at his loyal crew. They had followed him this far into impossible situations. Commander Lisa Grant nodded slightly, indicating her readiness to fight to the end. Dan Cooper's hands rested on his weapons controls, prepared to engage overwhelming odds one final time. But Morrison had seen enough death and destruction. His mission was complete. The prisoners were safe aboard his ship, including his brother Alex, who was recovering in the medical bay. Starting a battle that would likely kill everyone aboard would make their sacrifices meaningless. Admiral Korvac, Morrison said carefully, I have a different proposal. The Caliph Admiral leaned forward with interest. Speak. The data we recovered from Mortis Station contains detailed research files on dozens of species across the galaxy. Your people have been studying captured beings to understand their military capabilities and weaknesses. This information proves that the Caliph Empire has been preparing for aggressive expansion. Korvac's scales rippled with tension. That research was defensive in nature. We sought to understand potential threats to our people. Morrison activated his personal datapad and displayed some of the captured files. Admiral, this research includes detailed plans for conquering human colonies and enslaving other species. Your government has been planning wars of expansion for decades. Impossible, Korvac replied, but Morrison could see uncertainty in the alien's expression. I'm sending you selected data files now. Review them yourself. Your own scientists have been developing biological weapons specifically designed to target human physiology. They have similar projects for every major species in this region of space. Morrison transmitted the evidence to Korvac's flagship. He watched the Admiral's expression change as the Caliph leader reviewed the captured research data. The files revealed projects that even Korvac had not been told about by his own government. These files are classified beyond my security level, Korvac admitted quietly. I was not aware of the scope of our research operations. Morrison pressed his advantage. Admiral, both our species have been preparing for a war that neither of us actually wants. Your people developed these weapons because you fear human expansion. Humans developed advanced technology because we fear Caliph aggression. We're trapped in a cycle that will eventually destroy both civilizations. Korvac studied the data for several more minutes before responding. Captain Morrison, what do you propose? A new treaty between our peoples. Real cooperation instead of mutual fear. Joint exploration missions, trade agreements, shared scientific research. The galaxy is large enough for both our species to prosper without fighting each other. And if my government refuses such arrangements? Morrison gestured toward the rescued prisoners visible on his ship's internal monitors. Admiral, we rescued over 400 beings from dozens of different species. When they return to their homes, they will tell their governments what the Caliph Empire has been doing. You will face not just humanity, but a coalition of every species you have been studying as potential targets. Korvac's expression grew thoughtful. Morrison had presented him with a choice between endless warfare and peaceful cooperation. The Admiral was military commander, but he was also responsible for protecting his people's future. Captain, your ship demonstrated capabilities far beyond our intelligence assessments. How many vessels like the Defiance does humanity possess? Morrison chose his words carefully. Admiral, the Defiance represents our current technological standard. Every ship in the human fleet has similar capabilities. We have been preparing for the possibility of renewed conflict just as you have. The implication was clear. If war came, the Caliph Empire would face not one advanced human ship, but hundreds of them. The technological advantage that Morrison had demonstrated would be multiplied across humanity's entire military force. I require time to consult with my government, Korvac finally said. Admiral, I suggest we begin with a gesture of good faith. Allow my ship to depart with the rescued prisoners. In return, I will provide you with detailed specifications for our medical technology. Many of the prisoners require treatment that your facilities cannot provide, but our data might help you save lives in the future. Korvac considered the offer. You would share military technology with us? Medical technology, Admiral. Equipment designed to heal rather than harm. A foundation for the cooperation our peoples need. Morrison transmitted the medical data to Korvac's flagship. The files contained advanced human techniques for treating radiation exposure, surgical procedures, and disease prevention. Information that could benefit Khalif civilians without threatening their military security. Captain Morrison, Korvac said after reviewing the medical files, your offer is generous. I am prepared to allow your departure under escort to the border. But I cannot guarantee my government will accept broader cooperation. That's all I can ask, Admiral. The choice belongs to both our peoples. Morrison felt relief wash over him. As Korvac's fleet moved aside to create a corridor toward human space, the Defiance limped forward on damaged engines, carrying its precious cargo of rescued prisoners toward safety. 3 days later, Morrison stood in the medical bay watching his brother Alex recover from months of captivity. The younger Morrison was weak but alive, surrounded by other rescued colonists who were receiving treatment from the ship's medical staff. Jake, Alex said weakly, I never thought I would see you again. When the Caliph captured our ship, they separated us into research groups. They wanted to understand how humans think and fight. Morrison gripped his brother's hand. It's over now. We're going home. Alex smiled for the first time in months. The other prisoners, they're from all over the galaxy. The Caliph have been capturing ships for years. What you did here will change. Everything, Morrison nodded. Word of the rescue operation was already spreading throughout known space. Governments that had lost ships and citizens to mysterious disappearances now knew what had happened to their people. The Caliph Empire would face demands for accountability from dozens of species. Commander Lisa Grant approached with a communication pad. Sir, we're receiving messages from Starfleet Command. Admiral Chun wants a full briefing on our mission. As soon as we reach human space. Morrison took the pad and read the preliminary messages. His unauthorized rescue mission had created a diplomatic crisis that would reshape galactic politics. The evidence of Caliph research programs had already prompted emergency sessions in several planetary governments. But Morrison also noticed something else in the communications. Admiral Korvac had sent a private message requesting formal diplomatic contact with human leadership. The Caliph Admiral was serious about preventing war between their peoples. Lisa, draft a response to Admiral Chun. Tell him we have critical intelligence about Caliph military capabilities and evidence of their research programs. But also mention that we may have an opportunity for peaceful resolution. Morrison looked out the viewport at the stars ahead. The Defiance was heading home with 400 rescued prisoners and data that would change humanity's understanding of their galactic neighbors. The lone warship that had crossed the frontier in search of missing colonists had accidentally positioned humanity as a major power in galactic affairs. The crisis was far from over. Other species would demand action against the Caliph Empire, while some humans would call for military strikes against alien research facilities.